Recording in progress.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the behind-the-scenes recording of our 60-second live show, courtesy of the East Middle Public Library. This is your host, Mark Torres, speaking. I'm here virtually distanced, of course, with none other than L-Man Jenny Felding.
Good evening.
And I have our special guest tonight who we're going to be talking to, with, and about, which is Louis, the Shadow Rabbit Clay Guy.
It is a pleasure to be back in your presence, if only virtually.
Hopefully our senior correspondent, Charlie Saldine, will be joining us, and we're going to start right now. See if you guys can hear this.
The following is brought to you in part by MFC Studios. The views of the show's host and guests do not necessarily reflect those of the management, owners, or staff of this radio station. And now, it came from the radio.
Yapatoy, and welcome once again to It Came From the Radio, the official of the Big Apple Con. This is your host, Mark Torres, speaking. We're here live via virtual distancing, of course, for our 60-second live show, courtesy of the East Middle Public Library. That's www.eastmiddle.info. I'm here with none other than L-Man Jenny Felding.
Good evening.
And we're here with our special guest who we're going to be talking to, with, and about, which is awesome because he's right here. We have a Shadow Rabbit Clay Guy.
Top of the evening, guys.
Now, Shadow Rabbit has been a guest on our show many a times, and I appreciate him coming at the last minute. We were scheduled to have a comic book creator, but he was unable to make it. And Shadow Rabbit was able to join us for just a last minute fill-in. So thank you very much on that. So as I mentioned, we're going to be talking
in the clouds, man. I'll be there.
So as I mentioned, we're going to be talking with Lou in just a few minutes. But first, we have to take it away with the news.
Take it away.
The news is brought to you in part by fine folks of sci-fi.radio. That's sci-fi for your Wi-Fi. As well as the fine folks of the Big Apple Con, which we are the official radio show of, celebrate over 26 years of comic book nest and pop culture stuff. More information, go to www.bigapplecc.com. The next convention is scheduled for December the 17th, which is the Big Apple Christmas Con. Their headliner is none other than Clerks actor Brian O'Hallahan. And also want to give out shout outs for our Patreons, of which there are Danny Grillo, award-winning director Jared Burrell, Kyle Horn, Millie Portez, Newsday famous Dresden Media, Unjikun, Shadow Rabbit Art, Yasmin Ray, and Rosa. Want to have your own little shout out? Go to our website, www.camefromradio, and there's a little button on there. You can donate for our show. It takes you right to our Patreon page, and you get $1 for a shout out on our show. We greatly appreciate it. So let's see what we're going to do. We're going to start off with the sad news, as we always have tons and tons and tons of sad news. So I'm going to try to burn through them as quickly as possible.
Okay.
All right. Actor and comedian Anthony Robert McMillan, known professionally as Robbie Coltrane, died recently from multiple organ failure complicated by sepsis, a lower respiratory tract infection, and heart block, which is when the electrical impulses that control the beating of your heart muscle are disrupted. While perhaps being most famous for his role as Rubus Hagrid in the Harry Potter series of movies, Robbie also appeared in such films as Death Watch, Subway Riders, Ghost Dance, National Lampoon's European Vacation, Absolute Beginners, Eat the Rich, Slipstream, The Pope Must Die, which I remember him most for, Oh What a Night, Golden Eye, The World Is Not Enough, and Goopy, just to name a few. Of note, Robbie was appointed as an officer of the Order of the British Empire by the late Queen Elizabeth, and as of 2016, announced that due to osteoarthritis, he was in constant pain all day, and as of 2019, he used a wheelchair to get around. He was 72 years old. Do you guys remember The Pope Must Die? I remember it was a big thing when I was growing up.
No.
So it was a movie about this guy it was a comedy about this guy who went through unusual circumstances to become the Pope. And they were like, they have to kill the Pope. And the religious people got all mad, so they had to change it and they changed the name of the movie to The Pope Must Die Yet. They put a little T at the end as a cross. And I'll never forget, it's like, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. But yet it was a big thing at the time.
I mean, nowadays that might not fly because you can't talk about people losing weight. That's more offensive than talking about people dying.
I know.
It's like, I hope you die. No problem. I hope you lose weight. Oh, I'm offended.
Yeah, you're fat shaming, right?
Mm-hmm.
So moving on for some more sad news. Actor Ronald Alec Massac also died recently of natural causes. In addition to appearing in movies slash TV shows as Ice Station Zebra, A Time for Dying, Tora Tora Tora, Evil Knievel, Laser Blast, No Code of Conduct, and The Benchwarmers, just to name a few. Ronald was perhaps best known for his role of Sheriff Mort Mercer for 39 episodes of the late Angela Lansbury series Murder, She Wrote, which ran from 1988 to 1966. Okay, I obviously wrote that wrong because it's 1998 to 1996 on CBS. Of note, Ronald was the first cousin of actor Michael Gross from Family Ties, who played the father, and former Saturday Night Live cast member Mary Gross, I remember her. And his death occurred 9 days after his aforementioned Murder, She Wrote co-star died, Angela Lansbury. He was 86. Were you a fan of Murder, She Wrote there, Lou?
Only in the cultural sense. I didn't get down to watching it on a regular basis, sadly.
All right, fair enough. I know, Jen, you probably haven't watched it, right?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, we'll just move on. We'll just move on.
R.I.P. Yeah.
I've watched Harry Potter like 3,000 times, though. So, Hagrid being
Oh, all right. There you go.
that's a rough one.
So more sad news. Actor Leslie Allen Jordan also died recently from a, quote, medical episode that led to a car crash. Leslie appeared in numerous movies and TV shows such as Moving, Ski Patrol, Hero, Missing Pieces, Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday, which it wasn't, Goodbye Lover, Sordid Lies, Moving Allen, Madhouse, Eating Out 3, All You Can Eat. I wonder what the other two were. Demonic Toys, Personal Demons, The Help, Lucky Dog, Fear Inc., A Very Sordid Wedding, along with the series Sordid Lives, the series, The People Next Door, Top of the Heap, Bodies of Evidence, Reasonable Doubt, Hearts of Fire, which is where I remember him most from, Boston Public, Boston Legal, Hidden Psalms, 12 Miles of Bad Road, The American Horror Story Coven, Con Man, The Last Sharknado, which was It Was About Time, and Call Me Cat, just to name a few. Of note, in April 2021, he published his autobiography titled How Y'all Doing? Misadventures and Mischief from a Life Well Lived. He was 67 years old. I just remember him. He had this unique voice, and he was like a shorter person, and he was very funny. And I remember seeing him in all the places, and it was just so weird that he died in a car crash of all things.
Is it weird though? Is I in a car crash?
Well, we've been. How many times have you been doing this show, Jen? Like 4 years already for the pandemic, right?
Right.
We've probably had maybe 2 people who died from car crashes. Usually, it's like some disease or something happened. So a car crash was unusual. Like the other one was Anne Heche. That was the other car crash.
I know. I was thinking of that.
Yeah. So it was just I find it to be odd. It's one of the odd ones.
It doesn't seem exotic enough for people of their pedigree.
Yes.
What if he was driving like some crazy car? Then I'd be like, oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, he just okay. So let's see. We have 2 more to go. So let's burn through them as quickly as possible. Even more sad news. Director, producer, lyricist, and author Jules Bass also died recently. As of this recording, which is November 9th, 2022, no cause of death has been announced. The name should sound familiar, as he is one half of the Rankin Bass Productions, which was responsible for making such shows / animated movies as The Little Drummer Boy, Frosty the Snowman, A Year Without Santa Claus, Rudolph's Shiny New Year, The Hobbit, the animated series, The Return of the King, the animated series, Rudolph and Frosty's Christmas in July, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Silverhawks, and the original Thundercats, just to name a few. He was 87. Now, if you grew up at a certain time, it's classics. Those little animated stop motion figurines for Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. He was part of that, so he was the other half of the company that made that. That's a pretty big loss if you're a fan of a certain time. Were you inspired by that, Lou, for making those little figurines of clay?
Oh, sure. I don't think though. Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone, at least older than me, would have not been pretty, familiar with those. I'm not sure about people too much younger than me, but yeah, of course, that's devastating, man. I mean, at least 87. I guess that's a lot better than the previous ones you said, but still,
fair enough.
Bummer.
What about you, Jen? Were you a fan of the animated cartoons? Do you remember those?
Yeah, I remember them because about a year ago I hosted a Christmas special with Lloyd Kaufman of Troma and Tom, and well, I didn't know that. I think about a 6-year-old granddaughter was watching, and I was talking about Santa not being real. So I perhaps destroyed the Santa myth to one child watching, and that's how I'll remember all those titles. Uh,
Well
Always
done.
good to know your audience before you speak. I thought it was an adult audience. I thought it was an R-rated show. It was not. And yeah, that's a sin. That's anytime you host a Christmas show, I don't know who this advice would be for. Find out what the age group is watching because you don't want to destroy Santa. Apparently that's a thing to worry about during
Yes.
Christmas time for any
Yes.
Christmas shows. Did not know that
It's
was
just
a
a test
thing
for the
to think of.
unfaithful. Don't worry.
A
If you
test for the
believe in
unfaithful?
Santa, he's real.
Yes. If you believe,
Magic
you
lives
have to believe.
in your
Yes.
heart.
So last bit of sad news, finally. Singer and pianist Jerry Lee Lewis also died recently following a bout with pneumonia. A pioneer of rock and roll music, Jerry's most famous songs would be A Whole Lot of Shaking Going On and, of course, Great Balls of Fire, which was the name of his biopic starring Dennis Quaid in the lead role as Jerry in 1989. I knew his music, but I really liked that movie. And I like Great Balls of Fire because Jerry Lee Lewis actually redid some of his music and his songs. He remade them specifically for that movie. So now I was more familiar with his work, and I thought the movie was pretty darn good too. You familiar with Jerry Lee Lewis, Sharon?
Yes, sir.
Did you see the movie, or
Never
you just
lost.
know of his stuff?
I know more of his music than the movie. I'm sure I've seen it, but it doesn't particularly hit my memory banks.
Fair enough. What about you, Jen? Should I ask, or should we
Great
carry on?
Balls of Fire. Oh, Great Balls of Fire, I know in 1956 that was the original name for gonorrhea, and then they switched it because that was quite wordy.
Terrible.
So that's what I know.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, from the chat, yes, he did marry his cousin. For people, it was his third cousin. He married his third cousin, so it was. I guess
He
it was
a
okay.
Targaryen.
Maybe.
Barbarian?
So moving on, so that's it for the sad news. Let's get to the not as sad news.
All right.
From the
Please.
That's a Lot of Nuts department. The new rock comic book film Black Adam has held on to the #1 spot in the domestic box office, pulling in an additional $18 million in ticket sales in its third week of release, beating out the new animated film One Piece, which came out in #2 at $9 million. For those of you keeping track, the new Top Gun sequel is still the highest grossing film of 2022
Wow.
with $716 million, followed by the Doctor Strange sequel with $411 million. The aforementioned Black Adam comes in at #11, and One Piece comes in at #62. So as I've been talking about this for months, there's only 3 movies left that may knock Top Gun off, which is Black Panther Part 2, which is coming out this week.
Yeah.
Puss in Boots Part 2, which is a holiday movie, kids movie. You never know with those things; they can go either way. And Avatar 2, when Avatar was the highest grossing movie for a long time until Star Wars knocked it off.
Do you think Avatar 2 is gonna do it? I mean,
Nah.
it took a
I
long
don't
time
think
to get
so.
to it.
There's no hype for it,
No.
but nobody thought that movie was going to do anything when it first came out. And if you remember, because we were doing shows back then, the first week it didn't do well because we had a snowstorm in New York, and it was like they were blaming the snowstorm and that it didn't do well. And then the next week when the snow was gone, it did gangbusters, and it lasted like one of the longest running #1 movies, which was Titanic, and then it was Avatar. So they were like, "Wow, this movie has legs," and it became the highest grossing movie of all time. So it had legs. So it might do it because of what it was at the time, but I'm thinking my money's on Black Panther. If anything's gonna do it, I think it's Black Panther. What do you think, Shadow Rabbit?
Black Panther's gonna crush it. Yeah.
You
Black
think
Panther's
so?
gonna make a lot. Yeah.
$716 million.
It might.
All right,
Is
fair
it
enough.
domestic or?
This is domestic. $716 million domestic.
That's a lot, but yeah, I'm gonna roll dice and say yeah, it doesn't.
All right. Well, we only have a few more weeks left. I think there's 46 more days till Christmas, so we've got a month and a little bit left. Let's see what happens. So
I
let's
really
see.
do want to run through the streets, like grabbing people and screaming, like, "What year is it?" Because I have no idea. I didn't know. It's almost
Um,
Christmas, dude. I'm done.
yeah. So speaking of end of the year, from the it's not even next year department, none other than San Diego Comic-Con has announced as of this week, all badges for the Comic-Con of 2023 have been sold out. Tickets were in two ways for the
What?
returning attendees. Tickets went on sale on October the 15th, and for first-time buyers, tickets went on sale on November the 5th, so 4 days ago. So as of 4 days ago, the tickets all sold out. To put things into perspective, the average attendance for San Diego Comic-Con pre-pandemic was over 130,000 people, with a max tapping out at 167,000 people for the 5-day event. So can you imagine? They sold over 130,000 tickets in 4 days, essentially.
That's
You couldn't even get a
I mean,
ticket if you wanted. Yeah, it's crazy.
Having been there before it got all commercially and after it got all commercially, it's insane. But the fact that they're not even wait until January. The convention's in July. Like they're selling tickets in November. It's mind-boggling because I don't even think the hotels are starting to sell rooms or stuff yet. But they're just selling it all out. It's so wild for me. Any thoughts on that, Jen?
I mean, I wonder if with the masks, what's going to be happening with the masks? Are we going to be in a lockdown? How many vaccines do you need to get in? Those are my questions.
Fair enough.
Because there was controversy over the Comic-Con in New York, so I wonder if there's going to be
Yes.
controversy over the masks, a year from now.
So apparently, this past San Diego Comic-Con, the masks were strictly enforced, and apparently everybody, for the most part, did well. So who knows what they're going to happen next year? But the fact that they're selling tickets in November for a convention in July, and they're sold out is just mind-boggling to me. So who knows what's going to happen between now and then? Or it just might be one of those scalper
It's not.
situations.
Oh, right. That's
I'm
true.
pretty sure you could. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you had to wait on a line even to get the tickets. So there
Yeah.
are people online for hours waiting to get tickets. They couldn't even, do that. So it's not just that the demand was high; it's that you couldn't even bust into the line.
It's just crazy. So moving on, let's see. This is a good one. This is a good one. From where is it? The Show Must Go On department. The wrongful death civil lawsuit against the producers, the cast, and crew of the film Rust has been settled out of court. For those of you not paying attention, or care for that matter, the film is the one where Alec Baldwin shot and killed cinematographer Helena Hutchinson's and wounded director Joel Souza. Halena's widower, Matthew, says, "We have reached a settlement. Our case will be dismissed. The filming of Rust, which I will now executive produce, will resume with all the original principal players on board in January of 2023. I have no interest in engaging in recriminations or attributing blame to the producers or Mr. Baldwin. All of us believe Helena's death was a terrible accident. I am grateful that the producers and the entertainment community have come together to pay tribute to her final work." Alec Baldwin says, "We are pleased to announce today the settlement of the civil case filed on behalf of the family of the cinematographer. Throughout the difficult process, everyone has maintained a specific desire to do what is best for her son. We are grateful to everyone who contributed to the resolution of this tragic and painful situation." Joel, which is the director, says, "In my own attempts to heal, any decision to return to finish directing the film could only make sense for me if it was done with the involvement of Matt and the Hutchinson's family. Though certainly bittersweet, I am pleased that together we will now complete what Helena started. My effort on this film will be devoted to honoring her legacy and making her proud. It is a privilege to see this through on her behalf. However, the DA says, The proposed settlement announced today in Matthew Hutchinson's wrongful death case against the Rust movie's producers, including actor Alec Baldwin, in the death of Helena Hutchinson, will have no impact on the district attorney ongoing investigation or the ultimate decision to file criminal charges in the case. While civil suits are settled privately and often involve financial rewards, criminal cases only deal in the facts. If the facts and evidence warrant criminal charges under New Mexico law, then charges will be brought. No one is above the law. Now, Jen, as an actress
Mhm.
on a movie set, you've happened many times.
Mhm.
So if something like this happened, someone died on the set, would you feel comfortable going back under those circumstances?
Yeah, stuff happens. People fall, people die, people get shot. Things happen. It's if you can't find if no one thinks it's malicious, then it's very mature for people to just write it off as an accident and carry on. And of course, this is an extreme case. I was
Right.
intentionally downplaying that. For my own comedic enjoyment. I'm an only child, and that was fun for me, probably for no one else. But yeah, the show must go on, and there's always some type of garbage on some level. So you might as well finish what you started. Uh,
All right. What do you think there, Shadow Rabbit Lou? What do you think?
I mean, yeah, I'm glad they got over that. See, I was gonna make the joke that they should, Alec Baldwin clearly said he liked Pellegrino, not Evian, and maybe this will reinforce that message to future producers. But yeah, no, I don't know. Uh, that's a
Wait,
rough
what
one. I don't
about
know how you deal with
Pellegrino
that.
and Avion? What's the Pellegrino and Avion
Nothing.
reference?
You opened the door. She opened it for you. So go ahead.
If you don't swing at everything, nothing's gonna leave the park. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. I guess that's good for their family that they'll make money off this movie or something and move on. I don't know.
I hope the movie is good, and I hope it respects what happened. It's a death on a movie set is always a weird thing to happen. So I hope they
Right.
do it does well.
Yeah, if it doesn't do well, they'd be like, really? We did all this for that?
That's
Pressure's
very true.
on.
That's very true. Let's see. Speaking of the pressure being on, from the I don't have a title for this. From the I don't have a title for this news department. None other than Paramount Plus has released the official trailer and a release date for Blue's Big City Adventure, the first feature-length film based on a Blue's Clues TV series. Executives say, when Josh gets the opportunity of a lifetime to audition for Rainbow Puppy's Broadway musical, Josh and Blue skidoo to New York City for the very first time, where they meet new friends and discover the magic of music, dance, and following one's dreams. The entire Blue's Clues crew is reuniting for this special movie event with the beloved animator friends and all three hosts, Josh, Steve, and Joe, together for the first time in a Big Apple like fans have never seen before. As we were talking before the show started, Lou, you watched the kids stuff. Would you think your kids would be excited to see all the hosts of Blue's Clues coming together for a massive crossover event?
No, don't let them watch Blue's Clues. Just watch straight up murder mystery shows. You want to figure out where the killer is? You can't talk to the box of crayons to get clues. Sorry, kids.
But you
Real
actually,
world. No, I'm just kidding.
actually, Jen, you did say you were a fan of Blue's Clues, right? Or someone related to you was
My
a fan.
my stepbrother's a big fan. Here's the mail that never fails. It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes, I want to will mail. Yeah, I know the song.
So, are you gonna take him to go see this massive Blue's Clues crossover event?
If I'm in the mood for charity work, we all got to do charity work sometimes. So I guess if that's the day, sure, you gotta put yourself in the fire sometimes for other people's enjoyment. So we'll see if that's the day.
All right, fair enough.
Not all heroes wear capes.
I think it's kind of cool if you're a fan of that and having all the three hosts come together. It's a big thing for a certain audience, and I hope it does well so that way the three live action actors get paid and can get more work out of this. So I say congrats to them. Good job.
Yeah.
Blue's Clues Big City Adventure will be streaming exclusively on Paramount Plus on November 18th. So actually, by the time this airs, it'll be already on TV.
Now the
Let's
dog
see.
is gonna have to be blue, because if it's not blue, he's gonna get in trouble, you know?
Yes. And I always said I did not know that Blue was a girl. I always thought Blue is a boy, but Blue is
What?
a girl. Yes,
Oh,
Blue is a
wow.
girl.
Yeah, but blue is for boys and pink is for girls, right? I mean,
But-
isn't that the old rule?
Yeah, but the other dog, which is Magenta, is
Pink.
the boy. So I always thought that was mind-boggling to my critical
Very,
mind.
they were
Well,
ahead
Blue's
of
Clues
the
was
curve in 2022.
Yeah, Blue was on the avant-garde the whole time. I
Wow.
do feel bad though. I mean, does that mean like Blue has to pick which one of his former like owners, partners in crime like to go to? Like, what if they all call his name?
Can you imagine if
kinda
there's like a
messed
big
up.
street brawl fight of the three hosts?
I want to see Steve come in snapping like my dog. You guys stole it. No one asked how I'm doing.
See, now that's a movie I would watch. I would watch that to see the three fight over the dog. I think that'd be hilarious.
You know, it'd be cool. They should add Michael Vick in. They should have a guest appearance, Michael Vick. That would be fun. Blue's Clues featuring Michael Vick. I like that.
That's how you figure out who gets the dog. He puts them up, and it's like at a wedding. All three of them are running and trying to catch that bouquet.
That's terrible. That's just terrible.
Wedding Crashes mixed with Michael Vick, mixed with Blue's Clues, mixed in Fight Club. I like it.
All right. So for the last bit of
Yeah,
news,
we're in the industry. We gotta get this in the hands of somebody with some teeth.
they're listening right now. They're writing script ideas.
We got precious little time to beat Top Gun. Okay, we can put this movie together this weekend.
Blue's Clues, Fight Club.
Last bit of news before we take our break. From the where would you even put that department? None other than Costco has announced an 8 feet tall, 29 foot wide, 60,000 piece jigsaw puzzle called What a Wonderful World. The puzzle is actually made up of 60 interconnected 1,000 piece puzzles of a different painting of various landmarks throughout the world. So, what do you think an 8 foot tall, 29 foot wide jigsaw puzzle would cost? And where would you
man.
put it?
$1,000?
All right, Jen says $1,000. And where would you put that? Where would you put it? And would you even want to put that together?
No, God, no. I'd rather go to jail, perhaps. At least I get. No, I don't know. I don't want to do a puzzle. Like, Jesus. No, if I get disabled again, maybe I'll do puzzles, or if lockdown happens, perhaps. But
I'd
yeah,
rather go
no.
to jail.
I'd probably murder someone first and go to jail before doing 1,000 piece puzzle, or even 100 piece puzzle. for that
Oh
matter.
wait, so you would commit murder as opposed to just I just thought you like that you prefer to have somebody just come
It'd
and arrest
probably be
you.
more satisfying and better for society than me just sitting around doing a puzzle. At least like someone bad would get off,
All right. What about you there?
That's sarcasm.
Shadow?
If there's any children watching, by the way, that's a joke. That's a joke, just in case. Don't get mad.
What
Library.
about you, Shadow Rabbit? How much do you think it would cost, first off? And where would you put it? Would you put it together?
Cost your sanity.
I mean, it is Costco though, so I mean, yeah, I think $1,000 for it, maybe a little more. Or it's like
$1,000.
Costco. It's like, yeah, I don't know. It's like $5.
$5.
I'll try to talk tough here, but I like jigsaw puzzles. I'd like to play that. I'd go for it.
You would. All right. So where would you put it? Where would you
Oh,
put
man,
an
that's a
8
beautiful
feet,
mind, I think.
8 by 29 foot jigsaw puzzle? Where would you put that?
Where the sun don't shine.
I mean, like, I mean, even that would be a stretch. But
Yeah, it would be a stretch.
like in my dreams, where would I put it? Or like physically, I don't have a location that could accommodate that.
So would
my
you?
roof.
So would you make an attempt to put it together? Oh well, remember it is 600. It is
Yeah,
61,000 pieces. So would you just do the 1,000 pieces and just put them on top of each other, like stack them up?
I don't know, man. That's pretty crazy.
Who's
I-
buying this?
So
I would pretend that I'm not like, super excited to see this thing, but that's
All right.
all it is. It's just part of the mask.
So
I'm gonna go to Costco and try to find it.
So the What a Wonderful World puzzle retails for $599.
Oh, what a
So
steal.
way lower than you guys thought to make a 8 by 29 foot
So you
puzzle.
telling me you'd be crazy not to buy
Yeah, it's a steal. Exactly. Yeah. Like half off.
1,600 feet away?
So if you go online, you can look up What a Wonderful World puzzle pieces, and the box is gigantic. Can you imagine the box?
God,
Come in
how do you
there?
fit that in your car? I assume it comes on like a skid. I mean, you need a pallet to move that, right?
Can you
Right.
just thinking like putting it together? First of all, going out to buy it, loading it in the car, bringing it home. You're like, where am I? Look, honey, look what I got. Where are you gonna put it? And then you have to put it together. 60,000 pieces. What happens if you lose one? I can barely
You
do
know
the
what?
25 at 100 ones.
If I ever
You
had
think that the
kids,
guy?
it would keep them busy. Like it's good for latchkey kids. You just be like, here, do the puzzle. They'll never come back, you know?
Latchkey kids you're looking to bring to Vegas one day, maybe, but I don't know.
To bring to
That
Vegas.
sounds like a lot of puzzle pieces thrown around your house.
60,000 puzzle pieces. 60,000. You said
Wow.
you're a
You
puzzle
think
guy.
somewhere-
What's the most you've ever done?
We do 1,000 ones.
Okay,
Uh,
a
pretty
1,000
regularly.
ones.
That's-
1,000.
Yeah, you know,
All right. So
1,000 piece.
so
My
would
kids
you
do the
do
1,000 piece one.
60 of those in a row?
Yeah. Given. Look, next pandemic, sure. Right now,
Next
no.
pandemic.
I
When's
right
the
now
next
I'm
pandemic?
struggling to.
When's the next-
Oh,
we haven't
Lord.
gotten to that department of the news
Are we
yet.
gonna have another one? Are we
We'll
having another
find
one?
out. We'll
I don't know,
see.
but I'm gonna get my plan down this time. I'm gonna learn a skill, maybe a trade. You know, plan for
All
the
right.
future.
So with that, we're going to take our break, and we're going to be right back with It Came from the Radio.
All right, we'll be right back.
Hey everybody, this is Todd McFarlane of the record-setting
I can hear that.
comic series. And if you're looking for any kind of cool conversation about creators, about entertainment, about all that good stuff, you go to It Came From the Radio. You're listening to the right spot.
How much of the battle outside can you guys hear on my end?
Popular voice actor known for Axel, Tamon, and Ryan from the Metal Gear series. And you're listening to It Came From the Radio. Stick around.
Hey, I'm Mike Kingston, the writer and creator of Headlocks. And I am WWE Hall of Famer Jerry the King Lawler. And guess what you're listening to? You're listening to It Came From the Radio.
Hi, this is Amy Jo Johnson, writer-director from the film The Space Between, and you're listening to It Came From the Radio.
Meet Grimlock having fun on It Came From the Radio. Meet Greg Berger also.
Now, back to our show.
And welcome back to It Came From the Radio, the official Big Apple Con. This is your host, Mark Torres, speaking, virtually distanced, of course, courtesy of the East Meadow Public Library. That's www.eastmeadow.info, where they have tons and tons and tons of programming, most of which are free. For those of you who are listening on the Facebook page right now and watching this YouTube video before it actually airs on the radio, they're actually having a very late Halloween fest on December the 3rd, if I'm not mistaken. Was it December the 3rd? So make sure you guys go check that out.
Halloween fest?
Yes, Jen and I and Charlie,
Yeah, I
probably
think it was
are gonna-
Halloween.
Yes, it's a very late Halloween fest, and we're going to be there. We're going to have a table there. Come
Yes,
visit us,
yes.
come say hi to us. So yeah, make sure you go to www.eastmeadow.info for more information. Like I said, it's a free convention, and you have tons and tons of free stuff, one of which is our show, which is on the second Wednesday of every month. And I am here for our 60-second live show with L-Man Jenny Selby,
Good evening, everybody.
and with our special guest who we're going to be talking to with and about, which is awesome because he's here, Shadow Rabbit Clay Guy.
Pleasure as always.
So we've had you, we've known you for quite some time, and you've actually been on the show a couple of times. So what have
Been
you been
accused of a
doing?
few things, yeah.
What have you been doing since then? What have you been dealing with the pandemic? And now that the pandemic is quote unquote over, are you going back out there, going to conventions? What have you been up to?
Well, I mean, yeah, we got through the pandemic. Sadly, the zombies never rose. It was just kind of a
Mm,
pandemic where I just, stress ate some potato chips and watched a lot of Netflix. But I've been working consistently throughout the whole thing, doing my sculpting, doing my thing. The internet sales have actually been really good. I've been doing a lot of Kickstarters, tiers for people, and things like that for the last 2 years. Actually, in a weird way, I've met a whole new, group of a lot of comic book people just kind of came together through the internet and everything. So somehow I met there with a lot of new friends, which is odd. But comic people are the best people. What can you do?
So let's remind people what clay do you usually work with? Let's get the technical stuff out of the way. Do you use you bake it? You do in molds? How do you make the stuff?
So my main thing is I do handmade sculptures. I work with a couple different mediums. At shows, I'll be doing handmade little sculptures out of clays and waxes that give me a character or you or your kid or whatever an idea of something to sculpt, and I'll make a little 1 to 2 inch tall figurine right in front of you. My bigger stuff, I make figurines, sculptures, prototypes, kind of whatever you want out of hardening clays and epoxies. Again, all handmade. And yeah, I can pretty much try to make anything you want. Weird stuff will cost you a little extra, but I don't judge.
Very talented.
Thank
So
you.
Jen, I know you're gonna ask the question, so I'll let you ask the question as a follow-up to what he just said.
Okay, you don't know what I'm gonna ask, but I'm just thinking of Celebrity Deathmatch. Remember MTV Celebrity Deathmatch where
Love
they
it.
had like
Oh, love it.
clay? It looked like clay figures, but I don't know how they did it. Maybe you
They
know
were
how they
clay.
did it. Okay, have you ever done anything along those lines, like making a claymation type of thing with fights, or I don't know, Real
I tried to
Housewife
do it.
drama?
Yeah, but mostly Real Housewives stuff.
Real Housewife
No,
clay figures. That could be fun.
that might be a thing to consider. When I was
Mhm.
younger, yeah, I loved Celebrity Deathmatch. I mean, that was, of course, Rudolph and everything was great, but Celebrity Deathmatch, if I'm going to be honest, was probably what really drew me into making
Really?
things out of clay. Yeah, oh, I love that show. So yeah, I tried to do some stop motion, but that's tedious even for me. I mean, I'll do the 60 million piece puzzle, but only once. The stop motion, man, you got to move that thing so many times to get a second of
Mm-hmm.
film, and yeah, I don't. The desire is there, but I don't have the time or the will to try that at this particular juncture of my life. I'd love to make the sculptures for someone else who does though.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of interested. I think it could be cool.
I I love anything that's. I mean, I love anything creative. I mean, I personally like the handmade stuff, but 3D animation and stuff is so ridiculous right now. I mean, you can do a lot of really cool things.
What about
Um,
like gnomes? If people have gnomes in their garden or something. You ever made like a clay type of figure? It probably would not last that well outside though, right? Like if I stuck one in my garden.
I've actually made garden gnomes.
You have?
Yeah,
Whoa, look at
of
that.
course. I mean, they've got a little bit of a particular satirical edge to them. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, no, I've made a bunch of different things like that. That was one of the first things
Oh wow.
when I got invited to do my first show. I didn't know what to do, so I just made a bunch of garden gnomes, and, like
Mike Tyson
Legends of the Hidden
gnomes.
Temple things.
A
Yeah,
Mike Tyson
uh,
garden gnome. That would be sick.
can't beat some, eat some.
Think
Yeah,
about it. Okay. Okay.
absolute. Oh yeah, I had garden gnomes with like chains in their hands and little little baseball bats and stuff, and they were funny. I thought.
Sounds funny to me.
Well, yeah, no, I actually made a garden gnome for a friend recently.
What about like
Yeah,
a Nancy Pelosi garden gnome or Biden or Trump gnome?
I try to avoid political and religious stuff, but I did have an idea to make this big, like, you know, nightmarish, hellish Hydra head with like, all the political people's faces on
Mhm.
it, and, like, Trumps and Clintons and stuff, all with like teeth and tongues and stuff.
Yeah,
Kind of your
cool.
big, it's some kind of political commentary like that. But that's
But for
about it.
Halloween,
Yeah, something like that. But sure, man. Hey, I don't care. I'll make anything.
I think a Lori Lightfoot garden gnome would be pretty cool.
Send me a picture and idea, and we'll figure it
Mhm.
out. I can make her
Something like that.
an elf or something, Like
Yeah,
she
she already
kind of
is.
sounds like she'd be like a Legolas relative, like standing on one foot with like a bow and arrow or something.
God, Lori Lightfoot Santa garden gnome for the holidays. I don't know. I'm just thinking of what I would want in, around my house if I
Like
wanted to
I'd make
attract
like
attention.
maybe a Krampus, just like shoving them all in his bag or something.
Mm-hmm.
For people listening on the radio, I see the smoke coming out of these two heads when their creative juices are flowing right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this. Man.
I think Mike
Keep on
Tyson and
throwing
Lori
these ideas
Lightfoot
out here.
would be great. Yeah.
So, do you
Mm.
find it easier to do animated characters, or do you find it easier to do life likenesses? Because you actually have a statue of me, which one of these I'm gonna get my hold
Mhm.
hand. Oh look, he has it ready. Look at that. So
One of
that's
these
me. He's
days, I'm
holding
gonna
up on
actually see you again.
for the YouTube page. Why don't you come down for the East Meadow super late Halloween fest? You can give it to me there. I'll have a
try to.
table.
I'll try to.
So is it easier to do like a real person that you know exists, or is it easier to do like caricatures or animated stuff?
I mean, I don't know, man. Honestly, I just kind of black out and start sculpting. It's cathartic for me. Sometimes I obsess over something that like no one else gonna notice. Like, oh, I gotta get this, pupil just right. It's like, no one's gonna ever notice this. But I'd say probably easiest for me is monsters.
Okay.
The easiest?
Speaks from the heart. Oh yeah, I can sit there making a werewolf or a dragon or something while I'm like eating dinner and doing five
While
other
you're
things.
eating dinner?
It just-
So you're like
Yeah,
eating with corn with one hand and like sculpting with another?
Why is it got to be
yeah. I've got
corn?
like chopsticks in one hand, and eating a corn on the cob with chopsticks, and I'm like, it's good. Yeah, monsters are easy for me. I have a lot of fun. I don't know if I have fun doing it, but I have the cathartic release of just like, oh look, I made some big scary monster.
Yeah, so what keeps you
So
going? Because I used to make clay magnets and like incense holders when I was, I don't know,
nice.
9 or 10 and sell them. And I was kind of money hungry. I thought $5 and $15 was a lot, at like 8, 9, 10,
Sure.
11. But so that kind of kept me going and I would smell the money at the end of the day. What keeps you going to keep
It's not
making these
pandemic.
clay figures? Like what? Because it can take 10 hours easily, that's a lot of time investment. So what keeps you dedicated to doing this?
We didn't have those fidget spinners and cell phones and stuff when I was a kid. You either got like smacked or you had to figure out something to keep your mind going. I just honestly, I just like making stuff out of clay. It makes me happy.
Hmm.
And when I'm happy, I like making more little, monsters and warriors and flowers or whatever.
So you don't
What's
go
Just
the
around
like,
smelling the money afterwards?
oh
right?
God, no, man. Kidding me? Oh, hypochondriac at heart.
Maybe I shouldn't say that with all the Jew stuff
Shaking
going
people's
on with
hands.
Kanye.
I like smile at them as soon as they're not looking. I'm like Purell.
And what's the best review you've gotten? Like, what are some of the things that you've heard that are like the most interesting reviews of your work?
Um, interesting reviews. Probably
Or
be
like things that are like, oh,
some
you're using
colorful
that
ones.
sculpture for that? Like, this is how you're using that? That's interesting. Okay. Didn't think you would
Hey,
use
once
it for
it's theirs,
that.
that's their business.
I
What you
want to
do
know
in the
what their
privacy
business
of your
is.
home. Um,
Once it leaves the
but
factory,
I'll
you're on your own.
yeah, that's on you now, Fred. Um, Honestly, I mean, I've been making stuff out of clay on my own and have been most of my life, one way or another. But once I hit the comic scene and you start getting people telling you nice things about you, man, I don't know if it's the vanity or the validation, a little bit of both, man. That stuff's
Hmm.
intoxicating. So I'm coming on being
Really?
like, hey,
The attention
I
that you
like
have?
what you make. Oh yeah, I mean, it's telling you that the weird thing you do is cool. I'm like, man,
Yeah.
tell me more about how I'm pretty.
Right, right. Yeah, no, it is true. It is true. It does keep you going. This is true.
But yeah, I mean, I just like making stuff, honestly.
And what's the
Um,
worst review you've gotten for any of your work?
mm, the devil.
The devil?
I don't know.
You were
The
called the
devil.
devil?
Yeah, actually once.
Why?
Holy
What?
It
crap!
was weird, man. I don't know. Some I don't know. Some
What
crazy
did you
lady
make?
just like I don't know, man. I must have looked like someone.
Wow.
Some crazy lady like started like quoting Bible stuff to me. I was like, I think you got me confused, man.
So wait, so somebody just was this at a convention or was it just somebody walking down the
It was
street?
like this is some crazy lady walking down the street. I was like on my
Oh.
way to the show. I don't know. I guess I look like a panhandler or something. I'm just. If you don't know me, I guess if you run into me walking on like a side alley and I've got like
Yeah, that's
a
true.
bag of junk and I'm with
Yeah, before we got introduced, I said to Charlie, I was like, this guy might be the devil. I don't know about interviewing him. Like Shadow, Rabbit, Rabbit, Donnie Darko, Shadows, Darkness. I thought the same thing. So maybe you can clear that up for the audience. Are you related to the devil? Is this any truth to this?
I mean, I think we all got a little light and dark in us, right?
This is true. This is true. Yeah, this is true. How do you manage your dark side? What do you do? Is that why you do all the clay so you don't do anything bad with your hands?
I wouldn't even hurt a fly.
You wouldn't? Not even a fly?
No,
I've hurt
I
some
try to
flies.
stay. Yeah, I've hurt someone's feelings before. I still feel pretty bad about it.
Okay. What are you gonna do to make up for it?
All we can do is continue on.
Okay.
I mean, I
Repent.
believe that, man. If you make mistakes, I mean, that's what rounds you out as a person, right? And the endeavor to not repeat those mistakes
That's
is
true.
kind of your choice on what you want to be as a human being. Like everyone can be cool when it's all cool, but how are you going to act when you stub your toe is a big factor in I
Yep,
think
I
who
was
you
saying that
really
yesterday. You do
choose to
something
be.
once, it's a mistake. You do something twice, it's a choice. You do something three times, you're a freaking moron. See you later. That's an ancient proverb, yesterday's ancient. Oh, someone asked, what's your
That was
top
a
five favorite
Hammurabi, right?
sculptures? Your top five favorite sculptures you created, asked by someone watching.
Oh man, you can't ask a parent what their favorite kid is.
Yes, you can. I got two
No,
dogs. I
I
got one
mean,
favorite.
well, there is only one seat on the roller coaster next to Daddy, but you can't answer. No, I made a lot of stuff. I mean, honestly, I love making the little sculptures the best. Like it's you know, like if a kid comes up and is like, "Hi, here's my superhero," and they show me some like, crayon drawing of like some dog monster with a samurai sword. And I'm like, yeah, we're gonna make this for you, dude. Don't you worry.
You ever have
Um,
someone that you don't like, so you try to make them extra ugly, like just to kind of, stick it to
Never.
them?
Have you ever been surprised with the end result of when you're working on something?
Oh, all the time. Like I said, man. Just kind of black out when I'm sculpting a lot of times, so I'm just as surprised as everybody. It's all from scratch. So,
Mhm.
if I take a piece of clay, plenty of times I'm as surprised as everyone else when it's over. That might be, a side effect of like sleep deprivation or something, but no,
Have you thought about making your
I'm
own
not that.
school and or
Thank
mass
you.
producing?
Um, I thought about it. I love doing like I'd happily do seminars or whatever. If anyone wanted to learn, I was trying to film a couple times when I was sculpting, but it's just I'm just too lazy to do it. And half the time I'm like sculpting, it's like midnight, and I'm in my pajamas and stuff, and nobody wants to do that.
You'd be surprised.
Well, that's for my
OnlyFans,
OnlyFans.
Shadow Rabbit OnlyFans coming soon. I see it.
I don't
12
know if
o'clock,
I'd be more afraid of
pajama
getting no
sculpting,
hits or a lot of hits.
Mm,
Which is
yeah.
the worst one?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like if I
I
put
don't
it
know.
up there
Yeah,
and no one
that's
does
true.
it, I'm like, all right, that's probably for the best. What if it takes off?
Well,
Uh,
Nathan said he produces for the masses, but if you're an OnlyFans, you produce for the asses, you know?
that's the truth, man. Hey, man. Yeah,
You two are
gotta pay them
terrible.
bills. Someone gotta pay the mortgage. Um, but yeah, my favorite sculptures, honestly, you know, I love making all of them, man. What can I say? They're all my Horcruxes.
Where do you
Very
find your?
diplomatic.
He is.
You
Where
should
do
be
you?
a politician.
Oh,
Where do you
my
find
heart still beats though.
the
What's that?
inspiration? Where do you find the inspiration when you're just fiddling around at a convention? Because we've had many times of just talking at conventions, and you're just always going. So is there something that you just have in the back of your head? I want to make something, anything, or do you have a specific thing in mind while you're putting things together?
Sometimes I have started to like take photos and be like, okay, you should make these characters or something. But most of the time, I just pick a piece of clay and see what happens. Um, so most at a lot of conventions, I mean, thankfully I've been pretty busy for most of them, so I'm doing conventions for people and stuff. But I'll probably just be surprised if I just pick up a piece of clay and see what I start making. You know, you never know what kind of ideas living in the back of your mind. So it's kind of cool to see, like, oh, I guess I was thinking about, you know, Star Wars today or something. Sitting there making Darth Maul. You never know.
Now there's
I guess
predicted there's like shortages, you know, there's baby formula shortages, and supposedly they're not unloading some supplies because there's not people to unload it. So there could be a clay shortage. So let's say there's a clay shortage for 3 years. What would you do instead?
To make that puzzle.
Ah,
I would have to just sculpt with my 2 remaining years of supplies after that.
let's say you ran out of
I got
supplies. No more clay. Clay is gone. What do you do?
I always thought I'd make a decent samurai, but luckily it's never come to that.
Samurai.
So
Oh, you
basically,
would. I can see looks wise for sure. You got the look. You got the samurai look.
Mind you.
He's
you're
got the
gonna,
look. He's got the look. He's got the look.
you're gonna
No,
travel
honestly,
the
I
world
just,
solving crimes with a sword.
if I
Or
could
causing crime.
convince the important people in my life to pick up shop, get a van, and drive around solving mysteries, I swear to God, right now I would do it. Heartbeat.
What kind of
I
mystery?
bring
What
it
kind of
up
mystery?
casually. Anything, man. We ghost hunt, lost toy, unsolved.
Voter
I don't know.
fraud, voter lack of fraud, voter fraud conspiracy.
You just
I told you I don't mess with that political stuff. It's just
Yeah, I
not fun for
know.
me. I watch the news when they get new episodes. You know, it's just they keep showing the
I don't watch the news.
same stuff over and
Yeah,
over.
no.
But then I'm scared though because they might find new episodes. I'm like, guess what? We nuked Finland, and you know I can't. I'm like, ooh, I'm going back to the classics.
so
Finland.
Anime for me, guys.
so if you did, so basically what Jen was asking was the Doctor Strange question. You lose the ability to make stuff out of the clay with your hands. You would seriously be a samurai? Well, what's the serious answer? What would you do? Because you've been doing it
Anyone who
for
can tell
what,
you
like
what they do in a different life is dreaming or crazy.
how many years you
I
been doing
just
this? Like what, like 5, 6 years already?
Have I been on the comic book scene? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It's
So
hard to properly put in perspective since before, you know, the blip and everything. But
right.
yeah, I think that's gotta be at least 5 years, right?
Yeah. So
Um,
that's a big chunk of a person's life. You actually had a kid during that time. So has that changed your perspective on your work?
not particularly, if I'm gonna be honest.
So you don't worry about
It just
making the
makes it more
small
fun.
ones that your kids won't swallow it?
I mean, you're always worried about them picking up something and eating it. But actually, on my cards, I started to hand out the thing like, these are not edible. Do not eat them. Don't take them out around kids and dogs. It's like, it's like, really, these are not candy. I mean, you're not gonna die from it. I've eaten so much of this clay. I mean, you just
Why?
develop
What?
a cutting sense of humor.
You've
Apparently,
eaten a lot of the
maybe
clay?
acid
Why?
reflux.
Wait,
What's
why are
that?
you eating the clay? What's made you eat the clay? How did that happen?
Just laziness of not washing my hands and
Or you just
eating
rather lick it
sandwiches
off?
while I'm sculpting or something.
He
No, well, I'm
was
not like intentionally eating. I'm not like,
he
ooh,
was
that Play-Doh
making
looks delicious.
he was eating the
Mm.
But
corn and making the statue, and then he got mixed up and he ate the statue and make the corn.
yeah, in aggregate, I'm sure I've eaten a lot of clay over the years.
Wow,
Something that
interesting.
I'm concerned about, if I'm going to be honest.
So
But
Well, clay is very moldable. It kind of goes with the flow. It's not instigating. It kind of molds to whatever shape, and that seems to have, be a bit of a personality trait with you. You don't seem to be a problem causer or a fire starter, and you're going with the flow of my ridiculous questions. So maybe you are
I
what
like
you
that
eat,
one
and you
though.
are like clay, perhaps.
Oh,
oh,
dude, I
very
like
nicely
you. You're
done.
cool, man. Thank you.
Compliment, by the way.
I mean, I
That's
got my
not an
bad
insult.
days too.
What's that?
No, I actually really like that. I appreciate that analogy a
Yeah,
lot,
you're not
honestly.
you're not like an instigating, argumentative,
I got my bad
contrarian.
days too.
No,
You
everyone has
know,
those days, like the terrible twos, we all have them, it comes
sure.
out sometimes, but not in this show.
So we're at social media
Yeah.
time. So where can people find out more about your work, hire you, and probably give you big bags of money that you can smell?
And get their own Mike Tyson statue.
Yeah.
Well, again, I'm Lewis, Shadow Rabbit _clay_guy on Instagram. That's where I do most of my stuff these days. I have a website, shadowrabbitart.com. But again, mostly it'll probably lead you to my email address or my Instagram at this point. You can hit me up on there. I mean, check out some of my work, see what
Very
I've been
good.
doing, say howdy, give me a follow so I feel special. You know,
Tell me it's pretty.
Sign up for
yeah.
OnlyFans.
Hey, I mean, like I said, someone's got to keep the roof on. And yeah, I will be trying to get back out to shows again. Like I said, I've been a little bit hesitant. I've hit one or two over the last year, but I am going to be at Long Island Comic Book Expo on November 19th and
19th
20th.
and 20th. Yeah.
And then I might do Cradle Con. They said something right before Christmas, and the guys there are great, so I'll try to get there. One of these days, I would love so much to get to an MCon, but for some reason, I don't know what happens, man. Every
Well,
time I try to get there, I'm like,
April
You get
22,
distracted
23.
along the way.
April
man, we
22,
got food and
23.
point bombs on us. I can't risk it this time, man. Unless I was signed up to do the show a week before COVID hit. I don't, yeah, so
All right,
Kelly
so-
Gordon, everyone get there. MCon's amazing too. And one of these days I'll be there. But
Nice.
yeah, hopefully I can get back on the scene, man, because I love sculpting, but I love just kind of hanging out, doing my thing, and belonging around with other comic pop culture cool people.
And
I
don't
mean, I
you
remember
also
working
do
my first show, and like they were like, "Hey, do you want to talk about Batman and Ninja Stars?" Like, yes, I do. Yes, I do. And it's like,
Mhm.
did I find home here?
So I want to quickly mention you also do a weekly podcast, don't you?
I do. I am a frequent, well, no longer guest, I guess, co-host of the Written Writ Late Rights with the Bitten Apple TV and my man Rafael Taveras, the Written Writ, as well as Nat, the other person on the show now, no longer intern, and Roman Tony, and everyone else there. We've got Hagar, the horrible. Sorry, bro, I forgot what your tag is. Hagar's Horrible also is now a regular member.
Okay.
And yeah, we
So-
are actually on right after this at 9 o'clock, I believe, tonight. on
There you go.
Facebook.
And where can people find that?
That is on Bitten Apple TV, on YouTube and Facebook. And I
Alright.
apologize for getting all of this terrible because I am not the plug guy.
It's all right. You did fine. You did fine. So we have final thoughts. So I guess Shadow Rabbit, we'll let you go first. Do you have any final thoughts for our listeners?
Hey, the world ends every day if you let yourself go there. So keep strong, have faith in people, keep your samurai sword sharpened, and just try to try to show a little kindness and whatnot out there, because at the end of the day, it doesn't hurt you to be decent to people, right?
All right, Jen, Elman, Jane, Philly, final thought.
Doesn't hurt you to be decent, but no good deed goes unpunished. And if you're gonna leave your house, best to leave with your bowels empty. So go to the bathroom first, and if you need help to empty your bowels, drink a lot of hot water and maybe some apple cider vinegar, and you'll have a much better day before you go on mass transit with full bowels. That's my final thought.
Thank you for being guest
Sorry.
on our show. Really appreciate you sitting in for a last minute.
We appreciate you.
It
And
was
I
a great
appreciate you
guy.
guys, Mark. Yeah,
Your stuff is awesome.
Mr. Kelly Gordon.
Make sure you guys
really
check them out.
appreciate all you guys.
So that about does it for this week on It Came From Radio. Join us right here and every week on this radio station if you missed any part of this show. Jen, just yeah, thank you, Jen. Go to our website, www.itcamefromreal.com. Archives will be up in a week or so. And our next live show, which will be our 63rd live show, we have another returning guest. Where is it? We have a stand-up comedian and author, Louis M. Cruz. It'll be our virtual show once again, courtesy of the East Meadow Public Library. That's www.eastmeadow.info. So that's that. We will see you next time. And make sure I hit the button. And here we go.
Thank you.
You've been listening to It Came From the Radio with Mark Torres. The views of the show's hosts and guests did not necessarily reflect that of the management, owners, or staff of this station. We now return you to your earthly scheduled broadcast.